In the last year, school children, families, professionals, business owners, and even 16-year-old activists have been fighting hard to bring a century's worth of climate science to people's attention.
Yet governments are still not doing enough about the imminent climate crisis we are about to face.
At Enactus Southampton, sustainability is at the core of everything we do.
Over the last year, we have been focusing on projects that are centred around being resilient to a changing climate.
Our enterprises, Project Millen and Future Brew, incorporate sustainable and adaptable technology required to tackle food waste and water insecurity.
Over 2 billion people live in countries experiencing high water stress, and in the next 5 years, this will increase to 3.5 billion.
In India alone, nearly half of the population experience acute water stress, and it is therefore one of the world's most vulnerable countries to climate change.
Yet 80% of India's fresh water is consumed by inefficient farming methods.
If not distressing enough, 60% of this fresh water is wasted due to leaky irrigation systems and ineffective application methods.
India needs to be at the forefront of water-saving technologies. It needs an agricultural method that is independent of weather and that communities can rely upon.
This is why we created Project Millen.
Project Millen is an innovative, climate-smart agricultural approach capable of growing crops and cultivating fish using 95% less water than traditional farming methods, without the usage of soil.
Our system covers over 500 square metres of land, which is capable of sustaining more than 1,200 plants at any time and holds almost 600 kilos of fish.
After creating a successful prototype in the UK, we decided to collaborate with Enactus teams in India. So we partnered with Enactus DTU, a university team located in northern Delhi. They conducted multiple needs assessments with local farmers and consumers, collecting 60 valuable responses, from crop preferences to monthly income and price breakdown, sparking huge interest in the system. We took this input and incorporated the needs of the community into the design of the system. After the creation of a 3D model, we were ready to upscale and implement our system.
So in August 2019, we visited Delhi to build the system. During this trip, our team and Enactus ETU arranged logistics with local suppliers to deliver the necessary materials. The construction didn't come without problems, from our greenhouse being destroyed by monkeys to constant periods of heavy rainfall.
We persevered to find solutions to these problems, and with the help of DTU and local contractors, we finalized the construction of our pilot. Materials utilized for the pilot were sustainable and locally sourced in order to minimize the plastic usage. Our unique design uses primarily bamboo and metal, whilst maximizing the usage of recycled material that would previously have gone to waste, like flex and PVC pipes.
Now let's see how the system works.
The system works as a cycle. The fish farmed in the tank produce organic waste. This waste is passed through a series of filters, converting the organic waste into nutrients for the plants to grow. The plants are grown on floating rafts in growing beds, where the roots collect all the nutrients to clean the water for the fish. The cycle is then repeated. This eliminates the need for harmful and expensive fertilizers, as well as reducing the extensive use of water, with our system using 95% less water than traditional farming.
Each full system costs £3,000, with the main expenses being for the construction of the greenhouse, growing beds and tanks. We are forecasting the cost of the implementation to be repaid within 16 months from the start of selling the produce and fish.
The produce from our system will be sold at the university and restaurants across the city. This will aid in minimizing the carbon contribution of transportation compared to the alternative products coming from outside the city.
To widen our impact further, we decided we not only needed to implement our aquaponics system, but also saw a responsibility to educate local communities and spread awareness of India's water wasting farming methods.
Working with DTU, we have contacted 80 schools in Delhi and are aiming to deliver 2 different workshops that focus on developing innovative solutions for environmental causes.
The first will entail a visit to the schools where students will use waste from their homes to create an idea that can potentially resolve sustainability issues. Pupils will then have the opportunity to interact with the system at the university, where they can understand in depth how sustainable solutions can improve future water scenarios.
Our system in India is a pilot, and we are aiming with its successful completion to expand and replicate the system in rural areas. This is where water scarcity is even greater, and people are the most in need of reliable food sources.
As climate change worsens, we want to help those who are most affected. In Indian farming communities, suicide rates are 47% higher than the national average, with 11,370 farmers taking their lives in 2016. To tackle this, we want to employ farmers to work on our system full-time and eventually replicate the system in rural areas to improve farmer resilience to climate change.
DTU has already had discussions with local farmers who have shown great interest in working with our system.
The distance between India and the UK is more than 6,000 miles, but the two countries are both facing problems driven by a climate crisis.
Did you know that if food waste was considered as its own country, it would be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter globally?
Did you know that in the UK alone, 1.9 million tonnes of food is wasted every year, and that bread alone makes up 900,000 tonnes of this?
This is enough to lift 26 million people out of hunger.
It has become clear that drastic and immediate action is needed, so we decided to act. At Future Brew, we knew that it was not enough to combat this complex issue from only one angle. So instead, we devoted our energy to three key issues: repurposing food wastage, reducing food poverty, and educating future change makers on the importance of sustainability.
We decided to combine the traditional pub culture of the UK and the ever-increasing environmental concern of university students by creating beer out of surplus bread.
Our first beer, Stag, is a juicy pale ale with little bitterness and hints of citrus and grapefruit, uniquely characterised by its slightly biscuity finish. Stag has been a success in converting those who claim to not even like traditional beer, with over 500 pints sold in our launch nights, selling out our entire stock. Each pint is sold for £3.20, and for every one that is bought, we save 160 grams of CO2 from being emitted to the atmosphere. This is equivalent to driving 1.2 kilometres in your car. So let's see how the system works.
First, we work with FareShare, who connect us with local supermarkets to collect their food waste. Next, one of our deliverers goes to the supermarket at a designated time and collects the surplus food. We then deliver the bread to the local brewery, who brew the beer before we transport it across the road to the university pub.
After partnering with FareShare, we saw firsthand that alongside bread, all food types are wasted, and therefore decided to work with St James, a Hampshire-based homeless charity. Most of the fresh produce, such as vegetables, fruits and pastries, are given to St James's, who directly allocate the food to the 2,500 people they work with. People in their network are now able to access healthier foods, such as fruits and vegetables, improving their well-being.
The rest of the surplus food is delivered to October Books, a local community shop who sell the food at a reduced price. Each item is sold based on its original value, ranging from 20p to £1.
Profits of the sales from the community shop are split equally with the shop and as a payment to the two individuals who deliver the food. At a reduced price, the food is accessible to all, whilst raising awareness of food wastage.
True change and impact can never be achieved by only redistributing the waste. At Future Brew, we are firm believers that educating our young leaders of tomorrow is vital in order for a shift in sustainable change to be seen.
The UK's current education system is missing a curricula that actively shapes environmentally aware citizens by not teaching them how to create actual and substantial change in their local communities. So we have started running sustainability and waste workshops where students are called into action to plan their own social enterprises. These include running buses with the use of wind turbines to tackle air pollution, or running a soup kitchen that employs the homeless. So far, we have run 4 workshops, each with 30 Year 10 students.
So far, Future Brew has saved more than 1,015 kilograms of CO2 emissions and is operating as a carbon negative business. We have also provided 450 meals and redistributed 188 kilograms of surplus food, sparking interest with the TAB and the BBC.
Before the current pandemic, we were aiming to expand to 20 pubs in the Southampton area by the end of April and become the official beer of the university by supplying our first event, Varsity, on the 15th of March. As a result, we were forecasting £62,200 in sales this year. This is based on the sales of the university pubs and events, as well as the interest that local pubs have shown. So from this, we forecasted sales at 80 kegs per month. Instead, during this pandemic and the associated slowdown of business activity, we have focused our efforts towards our branding and social media awareness, as well as working with our partners and preparing for when the pubs reopen.
Once the world resumes normal operations, we are aiming to expand to Bournemouth, Brighton, Bristol, Reading and Portsmouth after the initial pilot period in Southampton is complete. This will also give us the opportunity to employ individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds to deliver our surplus food and for us to expand the reach of our educational workshops.
Future Brew is the vehicle tackling food waste. With less than a year since the implementation, we have saved more than 2,000 slices of bread from going to landfill, offset 1,015 kilos of CO2 emissions, educated more than 100 students on the importance of sustainability, and increased access to fresh fruit and veg for 15 people in Southampton.
Project Millen helps to ensure water security and continuous education on the detrimental climate changes we face today. We're in contact with 80 schools to carry out these educational workshops and bring our aquaponics design into small-scale commercial products here in the UK.
Our other project, Charge, is providing digital education skills in the Char region of Bangladesh through the use of solar energy and innovative computer methods.
And this year we have pioneered new enterprises such as Pangani, whose aim is to improve access to educational resources in Malawi.
These projects are on the forefront of innovation and sustainability.
We, as Enactus Southampton, want to make society realise that the time for change is here and now. Because if not us, who? And if not now, when?
How are you ensuring you have a measurable and lasting impact on the lives of your beneficiaries?
So in terms of the international part of Project Millen, first of all, we're having impact through the educational workshops that we're doing. And these are yet to start, but once they do, we'll be working with lots of school children coming to the site that we're working on and also delivering sessions to them. And we're hoping to help change the curriculum in these schools to include more environmental and sustainable focused lessons. And in terms of the beneficiaries, we're going to measure the impact by the financially, first of all, providing them with a more sustainable source of income. And then we're hoping to get farmers into the system as well and help educate them. And we can measure that impact further by the ones that go away and help implement this type of technology on their own as well.
So with Future Brew, currently, to start with the education part we do, with the workshops, we aiming to do in the future, we'll do like questionnaires before and after to see how the impact and the minds of the children have changed because of the workshop. And we're aiming to do also Future Brew Challenge, which would take what we do in the workshops, but work on it full time. So we work during the whole year, as we do the local side of Milan, to actually do the workshops and actually set up their own social enterprises. So they have even high impact beneficiaries. Now, when it comes to long term, right now we provide the meals. We provide the meals at the surplus food. We're aiming to employ some of these individuals in our delivery distribution channels, so that they actually get an income, and that will be the main impact that we have. But one of the key measures will be sustain employment for more than 6 months, gain confidence, skills, and stuff like that.
For the projects you presented today, how do you plan to grow and scale these in the future?
Okay, for Project Milan, obviously we've got the international part, and at the moment we're looking to start up operations, and then in the future we want to use the money that we make from the system we've just constructed to push that into projects that are looking at developing the same sorts of systems in rural areas. And locally, we're also expanding to our own commercial product as well. And we're going to be looking to sell that in the UK. And we'll also be looking at expanding the education side, both in the UK and internationally. Internationally, once we've shown that our workshops work in the schools we're currently working in, we're going to be approaching the Education Authority of New Delhi, for which we have a contact in our Enactus DTU side. And we're hoping to get that sort of educational program that we're developing into all schools in New Delhi in the near future?
So with Future Brew right now, we're running the pilot, or before the coronavirus, we were running the pilot in Southampton. We're working with the university students, and we actually start expanding to different pubs. And we're aiming to just until June to understand first the logistics and how everything works with donations and with the samples with everything that we do. And then we're aiming to the knowledge and the amount we have to expand to Bournemouth, Brighton, Bristol, and Reading. And we already have actually breweries already established in all areas that we partner with, and the collection of the food. And we had started talking about the pubs we're going to expand to. At the same time, we are part of Dragon's Den. They give us an opportunity to for grant of £150,000. We can put those money to expand our business even further. So that's how we aim to expand to hopefully all across the UK.
That ends the question and answer period.
We at Enactus Nottingham believe in the power of social enterprise to create business and transform lives.
This year, our members have driven entrepreneurial progress and have propelled our businesses to achieve even greater social and environmental impact.
Today, we would like to present two innovative businesses, Nutri-Greens and Foodprint.
One determined to introduce future food internationally to combat malnutrition.
And one striving to transform the food supply chain in the UK.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Dan.
I'm Farah.
I'm Ethan.
And Yash, Annabelle, Samantha and Lucian are our supporting team. And we are Enactus Nottingham.
Let us take you to Uganda, where 2.2 million children suffer from stunted growth due to malnutrition, one of the worst affected areas in sub-Saharan Africa.
Many of these children eat the same corn-based food for all 3 meals, every day, every year.
This meal deprives children of key micronutrients, including iron, zinc and vitamin A, essential for a healthy development.
Malnourished children are more likely to drop out of school or repeat academic years. 133,000 children have to repeat grades in Uganda.
Malnutrition affects the achievements of these children at a crucial stage in their life. Imagine feeling like you're underachieving because you can't concentrate, but don't understand why.
The knock-on effects of malnutrition is so widespread that the economic loss to Uganda is almost $900 million every year. This illustrates the extent to which malnutrition affects communities across Uganda.
This is a global health crisis, with children at its core.
So, having carried out research last summer, our Enactus team discovered leafy greens and microgreens, which we can add as a garnish to children's daily school meals in Uganda, directly combating child malnutrition.
Leafy greens are high in zinc, iron and vitamin A, which are vital for children's healthy development. Microgreens are green shoots that can be harvested after just 7 to 14 days. They contain up to 40 times more nutrients gram for gram and use 95% less water than their fully grown vegetable counterparts.
Our Nutri-Greens business model contains 2 strands, selling to restaurants and empowering schools. Firstly, selling to restaurants.
We have secured a partnership with a high-end restaurant called La Chateau in Kampala, where we will sell trays of microgreens at a 50% profit margin.
This will fund the second part of our business model, empowering schools.
By providing these schools with the soil and seeds, we can empower them to grow and harvest their own Nutri-Greens to add to children's meals. These children will gain both the educational and nutritional benefits of Nutri-Greens, receiving up to a 43% increase to their recommended dietary allowance.
However, we found that urban schools had a big need for nutrition but limited access to land. So, we used entrepreneurial leadership and worked with the mechanical engineering department at our university to design our very own vertical farming structure, taking advantage of the school's limited space.
We not only want to empower these schools through their diet, but also through their education. So, we have developed a 3-month interactive program.
We are educating the children on the importance of Nutri-Greens in their diet and equipping them with the knowledge to teach their own communities how to grow Nutri-Greens.
Although Nutri-Greens is still in its implementation stage, we have already secured a £9,000 grant, enabling us to build a greenhouse containing 800 trays and vertical farming structures.
But we have not stopped here. We found that at least 9 in every 10 educated Ugandan is unemployed. So, we adapted our business model to tackle this problem.
We now work with 2 Ugandan graduate students who we are training to manage operations on the ground and spread knowledge of the nutritional value of Nutri-Greens.
We flew out to Uganda just last September, where we educated 328 children at Outbound School on the importance of healthy eating and taught 60 farmers from 6 different countries how to sustainably farm Nutri-Greens.
By supplying Nutri-Greens to the restaurant, we will produce a consistent revenue, enabling us to empower the school, where we can educate and provide nutrition to over 600 children.
We will impact these children through boosting their immune system and brain development. This means they'll be more energised, healthier and achieve more each and every school day.
We educate the schools through our programme, providing them with the knowledge and resources to lead healthier lives.
And we empower the community through our programme, providing them with the knowledge and resources to lead healthier lives.
Our vision is being shared in Kampala. Having already identified 2 more restaurants and 1 more school, we will sow the seeds of Nutri-Greens across whole communities. Enactus Nottingham has used the power of innovation this year to develop Nutri-Greens. This inspired us to further innovate our existing local business, Foodprint.
We should all have access to healthy, affordable food, but this is something that 8.4 million people are deprived of in the UK.
This is the reality in our community, where over 21,000 children feel the damaging effects of food poverty.
It's the burden that weighs on parents' shoulders.
It's the sacrifice that families make as they have no choice but to buy food for hunger instead of food for health.
Nottingham is not only affected by the social and economic impacts of food poverty, but also by the environmental issue of food waste.
Over 9.5 million tonnes of food is wasted every year in the UK alone, of which a shocking 70% is still edible.
All this food is going to landfill, whilst families in Nottingham are unable to afford their next meal.
With the support of Nottingham City Council, we identified the impoverished area of Sneinton.
So, in 2017, this is where we opened Foodprint, the first ever social supermarket in Nottingham tackling both food waste and food poverty.
Through a partnership with Fair Share Co-op UK, along with our network of suppliers, we receive up to a tonne of food every week that would otherwise go to landfill. We support our community in 2 main ways.
Firstly, our store in Stenton. We open the doors to our community 3 days a week, selling food 60% cheaper than other supermarkets.
Secondly, our redistribution network. We deliver free food to local charities tackling food poverty, homeless shelters, retirement homes, and children's breakfast clubs, ensuring vulnerable groups have access to healthy, nutritious meals.
Our shop and redistribution network is run by a team of 29 local and student volunteers who all go through an induction process, training them to carry out our daily operations.
We make environmentally conscious decisions in every part of our business. So, when it comes to Foodprint's own food waste, through our partner company Envar, our surplus food ends up in forms of energy rather than landfill.
Foodprint has been running sustainably for the last 3 years, but let us tell you about what we have done this year, introducing our 3 new innovations.
Firstly, our new dried fruit product, Dried Apple Smiles. We've been providing bread to school breakfast clubs for over 2 years through our partnership with Hovis.
But this year we developed Dried Apple Smiles to supplement the bread because schools wanted a more nutritious breakfast.
We are partnering with a local charity called Space Inclusive, a day centre for adults with learning difficulties. These individuals are trained to dry and package the dried apple smiles, which improves their confidence and gives them a sense of achievement.
Secondly, our newly innovated mobile social supermarket, Foodprint on Wheels. We identified that isolated areas of our community, such as retirement villages, were not able to reach our Stenton store. So we brought our store to them.
We designed and renovated our second van, granted to us by the Ford Motor Company Fund, transforming it into Foodprint on Wheels, taking food to those that need it, anywhere, at any time.
Thirdly, our newest food innovation, the Bread Brew project. We re-evaluated Foodprint's own food waste and found that the supply of bread outweighed the demand.
So, we converted surplus bread into beer, with a partnership with an environmentally conscious local brewery.
We have already brewed 7,000 litres of beer. Our cans and casks can be sold in 74 outlets across the UK, including the supermarket chain Spar.
Having upcycled over 10,000 slices of bread, we have saved the equivalent of 1.3 tonnes of CO2 emissions from being released into the atmosphere.
All the money made from the Bread Brew project is reinvested back into Foodprint to increase our social impact.
By tackling the problem of food waste, Foodprint has prevented 26 tonnes of food from going to landfill, 2.5 times greater than the amount we saved last year.
This year, we have saved over 106 tonnes of CO2 from the atmosphere, which is equivalent to flying a plane for over 5 weeks.
Through entrepreneurial leadership, we have increased the number of people that we consistently feed from 610 to 1,353 individuals across Nottingham in just 1 year.
Children now start every school day with a full stomach and the fuel to learn.
The homeless now benefit from the comfort of a warm and filling meal.
And this year, the elderly from 4 isolated retirement communities told us they were able to shop for their own food for the first time in years, thanks to Foodprint on Wheels. Last year, we introduced Charlie, a local volunteer who hoped to gain employment and income for her partner and 2 young children.
With the training and experience she gained whilst volunteering with us, Charlie was empowered. She has now successfully secured a full-time job at Nationwide Care Services and still gives up her Saturday mornings to Foodprint to give back to the community she grew up in. Charlie was also one of our 442 shop customers, each with a different story to tell.
Meet Laura and Heather. Laura is a single mother of 2 and Heather provides for her 2 disabled children.
I remember filling two baskets full of shopping for like £6. So, and that could be £30–40 in a supermarket. So it saves me a lot of money.
I just wouldn't be able to buy what I'm buying on our normal budget. I can only get it because we're coming here.
From the food that we save to the lives that we change, Foodprint has created a lifeline for the community of today and hope for the community of tomorrow.
This year, Enactus Nottingham has been more innovative than ever.
Nutri-Greens is taking the food of the future across the globe to Uganda.
Introducing innovative agricultural methods to whole communities.
And Foodprint is directly tackling food poverty and food waste across Nottingham.
And is impacting even more lives with our 3 new innovations.
This year, our 103 members have developed 10 businesses.
Generated £54,000.
Saved over 106 tonnes of CO2 emissions.
And have impacted the lives of over 2,000 people.
But it's not just the numbers that are important.
It's the change we see.
It's the stories they tell.
It's the communities we empower.
We are Enactus Nottingham, creating business, transforming lives.
How are you ensuring you have a measurable and lasting impact on the lives of your beneficiaries?
So again, I'll answer the Nutri-Greens and I'll pass over to Farah for Foodprint. So long-lasting impact and being able to measure it is going to be key to the scalability and success of our project. So regarding measuring micronutrient malnutrition, it's called hidden hunger and it's quite notoriously difficult to measure in actual quantitative values. So what we're looking at doing is we're looking to partner up with an NGO that has the capacity to do that in Kampala, and because some of the techniques you use, such as taking blood samples, it can be quite invasive and it needs lots of resources. However, things that we can measure and that we definitely know we're doing is that currently we have our 3-month education curriculum, and we are implementing that as soon as they get back to school after this. After the schools reopen in Uganda. And we know that that's going to go to 610 children for a fact. And then we also are working with a focus group of 19 teachers from the schools. And what that will do is we're going to have constant feedback with them, we're going to work with them, and they'll be the ones who'll be able to tell if this is making a difference to the children. So we're going to work closely with our partners, and we look forward to seeing the impact. So I'll pass you over to Farah now.
In terms of measuring our impact, so at Foodprint, we're constantly measuring our environmental impact by keeping weekly waste logs and weighing up the amount of food that otherwise would have gone to waste coming in from Fair Share every Friday. We also use a multiplier provided by Fair Share on their website, and that helps us measure the CO2 emissions, of which we've actually saved a great amount of 106 tons of CO2 emissions from the atmosphere. But in terms of our social impact, again, we like to keep track of the number of people we're redistributing to, whether that's the number of children in our school breakfast clubs or the number of isolated communities we go into with Foodprint on Wheels. Likewise, we're also measuring our impact by encouraging or inviting our customers to fill out surveys in our store. And doing so, they're given the option to provide us with the first half of their postcode. And from there, that enables our team to map out the impact that we're having around Nottingham and not just the Sneinton area, because food poverty is definitely a problem that goes beyond Sneinton. Although that is an area most affected, it is a national problem. In terms of making sure that we're ensuring long-lasting impact, however, we're very much aware of the fact that impact goes beyond just numbers. And so the real impact that we want to make is one that our customers and the community can feel in their day-to-day lives. So for example, last year we had Charlie, who worked with us as one of our volunteers, but amazingly this year she's been able to secure full-time employment for herself, her husband and her 2 young children. And in doing so, we feel as though we've made a type of impact that goes beyond just a weekly shop, but it's something where she's able now to set up a really sustainable and strong livelihood for herself and her family.
Thank you. And the final question, for the projects you presented today, how do you plan to grow and scale these in the future?
Okay, so again, I'll answer for NutriGreens and I'll pass over to Farah for Foodprint. So regarding our future plans, it's exciting. So in the immediate term, we're going to be constructing our large-scale greenhouse, which will have an 800 tray capacity. This will be able to means we can start supplying to even more restaurants and increase our revenue. And then that will mean then that we can bring on more schools on board to then start supplying education, as well as the vertical farm structures and the soil seeds and everything needed to sustainably get nutrition into school kids' diets. But furthermore, the actual vision, the ambition that we have is we want to be the key link between restaurants and schools and be able to supply that nutrition, as well as having a ripple effect in the whole community. Kampala, its population is going to double by 2035. That is huge and unprecedented. And for a city that's already struggling from malnutrition, this is going to be a massive problem. And urban farming and this knowledge that we're starting to bring over to Africa that currently is in its infancy anyway, is going to be invaluable in combating this massive societal issue. So we're just going to keep going, keep scaling, as well as having impact along the way. So it's exciting times for us. Now I'll pass you over to Farah about Foodprint.
In terms of Foodprint's future plans, so we're aiming to continue to consistently provide to the isolated communities with our new innovation, Foodprint on Wheels. But as well as that, we also want to keep using the money from our second innovation, the Bread Brewed project, to invest that back into the school breakfast clubs that we already redistribute to. However, as this innovation is looking to grow and expand, we want to double the amount of children that we are impacting in school breakfast clubs. The aim for us is to really get another 3 or 4 schools added to our redistribution network. Once this expansion has happened, it will also give us the means to supply even more of our dried apple smiles to additional schools in our network. Therefore, we will be providing more school children with a healthier, nutritious and filling breakfast. In terms of our Foodprint store, in terms of our future plans, we want to continue to provide more food, and the aim is to really open more days than we are now, just so that this community who already can rely on us just continue to grow their faith in us, and can rest assured that we'll be there to help them and help provide for themselves and their families. And it is just about giving back to the community that they're very much a part of the project as much as we are. So in our future plans, it's very much about keeping that communication going back and forth, and strengthening those existing relations.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the question and answer period. Well done, guys.
Buongiorno.
Hola.
Здравствуйте.
Mabuhay.
Hello. As you can tell, we all come from different backgrounds, have different life experiences, and therefore have different ways we see the world.
Although different, we know that we are valuable to Enactus Durham, to our university, to our family and friends, and society too. This year at Enactus Durham, we have focused on celebrating life. Too often, we are barraged by news of the state of the world getting worse, politically, economically, and socially. And too often reminded that how each of us are insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
Yet every single person matters. Every voice is valuable. That is the simple message that we want to spread. Sounds pretty basic, right? How have we not instilled this in everyone? This message gets lost when there are huge disparities in the community, with many people losing their perception of self-worth. Today, we will introduce you to two of our projects. One local project in County Durham, the Ugly Fruit Group, and one international project in Mumbai called Shakti. Through tackling inequality and poverty, both projects spread a message that everyone matters.
When thinking about inequalities, we usually think of developing countries. However, we sometimes fail to see that these disparities can be more local than we thought.
First, we want to introduce you to the Ugly Fruit Group, a project that aims to tackle the UN Sustainable Development Goals of zero hunger, responsible consumption and production, as well as good health and well-being.
Every perfectly ripe red apple you consume, 3 apples are wasted. In the UK, 70% of fruit and vegetables end up in the bin, with 40% of this being rejected on the basis of their aesthetics alone. The public have come to expect identical fresh fruits and vegetables, expecting perfect shapes and uniform colours to adorn the supermarket shelves.
All this food is going to waste, and meanwhile, there are families in the UK right now that don't know where their next meal is going to come from. In the last 5 years, the demand for emergency food supplies has grown by some 75%. Not only are more people having to rely on food banks, but those that do are not having to return just once or twice, but up to 15 and 20 times consecutively. To add to this, the food banks traditionally almost exclusively deal in long life, tinned and packaged products, which have restricted nutritional value.
Is it fair that some of us throw away edible fruits and vegetables for aesthetics alone, whilst others aren't sure how to feed themselves or their family? At the Ugly Fruit Group, we think not. We believe that there is an obvious answer to the food security crisis, and that is utilising food waste. For now, our project is focused in Hartlepool, one of the towns worst affected by the food security crisis in County.
Aesthetically imperfect fruit and vegetables that are otherwise destined for the waste bin are donated from 2 main suppliers, JR Holland, our university food supplier, and Aldi Dragonville. The best quality produce is donated to Hartlepool Food Bank to supplement their emergency food supplies, which lack fresh produce. The produce deemed to be less long-lasting is turned into snacks for our stalls around the university. With the profit we generate from these stalls, we seek to run cooking workshops with a particular focus on families with young children. We hope to impart the knowledge required to maintain an economically viable, healthy diet on the young generation and their parents.
In the future, we hope to empower the users of the food bank by offering skills and experience that can be the first step out of the poverty cycle. When we secure a kitchen, we aim to have the food bank users produce the snacks themselves. This will allow them to gain valuable work experience and skills that can help them secure long-term employment.
Our long-term goal, once the Ugly Fruit Group is able to be covered by an insurance provider, is to use the profits garnered through the snack sales to pay the food bank users for their role in the food production, eventually making it a self-sustaining cycle. By making the Ugly Fruit Group a self-sustaining, rounded community, we're able to simultaneously address the issues of food waste and food insecurity, and create an easily scalable model to replicate around the country.
Since our pilot launch in January 2020, we have donated over 120 fruit and vegetable supplement packages to Hartlepool Food Bank. This equates to each person, on average, receiving 3 days of their complete fibre day. This marks a notable increase considering that 75% of those contacted during our needs assessment reported not regularly consuming their fibre day. Additionally, in terms of fruit waste, we have saved a total of over 200 kilos of perfectly edible fruit and veg from having gone to waste.
With each successful market stall, we have begun to build our brands in the Durham community, encouraging students, staff, and locals alike to follow the project on social media, as well as raising £400 in income and £1,225 in grants to help expand our project's reach. Our Facebook page has reached over 6,000 people and received almost 500 likes, spreading the message of the Ugly Fruit Group widely.
From home to somewhere that feels less like home, and to a problem that in our lifetime we probably would never encounter. Last year, a generous grant from Durham University allowed a group of us to visit India. What we experienced impacted us profoundly. Meet Sharifa, a 24-year-old woman residing at the National Burn Centre in Mumbai. Her husband doused her with kerosene, resulting in severe third-degree burns on her body. As a result, she was abandoned by her family and ostracized by society for her physical appearance. Disfigurement breeds loss of confidence. Women can often struggle to get jobs when they leave homes because they may not be able to work with their hands, and there is an overbearing social stigma.
In India, an estimated 7 million people suffer burns injuries annually, 700,000 of which require hospital admissions, and 140,000 are fatal. 91,000 of these deaths are women, a figure higher than that for maternal mortality.
Also, whilst in Mumbai, we came across another dissimilar but widespread problem. Schoolgirls in India don't possess many undergarments. They own an average 2 pairs of underwear, and in 5% of cases, the most underprivileged children do not own any at all. Visiting local schools, we realized that schoolgirls receive incomplete sanitary education as a result of poor hygiene and social stigma.
The third and final problem which we encountered, although not unique to India, is the problem of waste fabric and unsustainable fashion. Second only to oil, the clothing and textile industry is the largest polluter in the world. Around 35% of materials in the supply chain end up as waste. In 2013, 15 million tonnes of textile waste was created, 13 million tonnes of which was simply discarded.
So, 3 very diverse problems that we present to you. How do we tackle them simultaneously? Well, our solution is sustainable, simple, and realistic. The first step of the solution concerns the waste fabric. Companies freely donate their spare fabric that otherwise would have gone to landfill. We have already partnered with UK-based retailer Jojo Maman Bebe to run the scalable circular fashion model. Their free supply of fabric makes this project environmentally sustainable and cost-effective.
The second step is stitching. Female burns victims then use the recycled fabric to stitch undergarments. A consensual, comfortable, and safe environment for women, employed on a stable salary. This is not the norm in India. We came across anecdotal evidence of women striving to be confident and wanting to return to their lives. Hence, this is part of their empowerment process.
The third step is a sanitary education element. These women, as part of their rehabilitation process, distribute the underwear to schoolgirls. Schoolgirls receive the undergarments free of charge, in addition to educational material promoting the importance of sanitary health. This helps restore their sense of self-worth, reducing their likelihood of dropping out of education.
In terms of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, Shakti tackles 5 simultaneously: no poverty, quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, as well as responsible consumption and production.
As mentioned, our solution is sustainable. We provide the women with sustainable exit options after their treatment in the burn centre. Here they have 3 options. The women can continue to stitch from the comfort of their own home, form a cooperative, or work in the neighbouring state of Gujarat in a factory owned by one of our corporate partners. There is an endgame here. We don't just leave the women to integrate back into society all by themselves. We offer flexibility and facilitate this transition. We know that every case and every woman is different.
Since our project launch in December 2019, we have seen consistent progress. As well as reformulating the project, we have created a logo, a sponsorship booklet, organised pitches with international and local businesses, as well as procured £1,700 in funding. We're also in the process of pitching to corporates as well, namely Burberry and Sage, to acquire sponsorship for Shakti.
Just as the story we heard from Sharifa, our solution is equally as unique, delivering real value and impact. It aspires to thread a future of health and hope in a simple, sustainable, and realistic manner. Now, women like Sharifa, who had lost hope of being accepted back into their communities, can finally reshape their lives, whilst making a positive difference in society.
With our 2 headline projects at Enactus Durham, we are spreading our message. Every fruit and vegetable that gets saved, every piece of underwear that gets distributed spreads the message.
No matter where we are from, we all face challenges. These do not define us, nor do they dictate our self-worth. Our challenges teach us lessons and values we can pass on. Every person should know that they matter. Every person should realize that they are valuable. Every person deserves to be heard and loved. This is our message. Thank you.
How are you ensuring you have a measurable and lasting impact on the lives of your beneficiaries?
At the Oak Fruit Group, we are aiming to have near constant communication with the beneficiaries directly. So with those that we provide food to, we want to know what they do with the food, how they use it, and use our contacts with culinary experience to impart skills on them. So we want to get them involved in the project, and so they can prove to us and prove to themselves that they are gaining valuable experience and valuable skills. So this will allow us to have a measurable impact, both sort of qualitatively and quantitatively. And that's one side. For the food bank users that are sort of running our cooking workshops, the ones with culinary experience, we want to help them, we want to facilitate them to impart their skills on others. As we want to do this by offering the opportunity of some of the food bank users to get their culinary qualifications. So whether that's their level 2 food hygiene, preparing food, anything like that, we want to kind of get them, and that would be a really nice way of proving that we have improved people's lives and given them a new skill set that could in fact get them into employment. And then in the food waste sort of side of it, we're keeping a constant record of what we've got and what we've used, what we've manufactured, and what we have and what we've had to donate. And so we have constant tabs on what we're doing with all that kind of side of the project.
So when it comes to Shakti, as mentioned in the presentation, we like to follow the sort of beneficiaries that we're helping and follow them through the process. It's a transition and there is an end game. So the way that we can measure impact is obviously by the amount of women that we help or the amount of schoolgirls that we provide underwear to. But what we do is by following these burn victims and these end games and these options, we're able to gather first-hand evidence on their recovery, the anecdotal evidence that we can feed back to either corporate sponsors or our stakeholders in India and the UK. Also, because of our sort of stakeholders there, we have accurate numbers on sort of the amount of schoolgirls that we can help and the schools that we can target. So because of this accurate data, we're able to pinpoint the impact in terms of numbers quite accurately. But something that we do want to implement in our next trip to India is a more formalized feedback process. Like we sort of mentioned, the project properly sort of took off in December last year. So we're still looking to implement a more formal feedback process, but for the time being, we have a good grasp of the numbers and of anecdotal evidence, of which gives us a good sort of example of how we can measure and track our impact as a project.
For the projects you presented today, how do you plan to grow and scale these in the future?
So for Ugly Fruit, our end game goal is to become a brand that is A, well known, and B, widely available. So we want to have products that are available in lots of cafes, in lots of restaurants, in lots of supermarkets. And this goal, we want to get there by getting as many people involved as possible. So there are many people that rely on food banks. There are many people that are unemployed. And we want to get as many people like these on board with the project as possible, those with culinary skills and those without. So we're going to run campaigns to get more and more people involved. We're hoping to talk to more food banks. We've got connections with food banks now in Durham, so we can set up a sort of Ugly Fruit 2.0, and through this we can really start expanding our project and get more people involved, increase our production capacity. We're also talking to more suppliers. We're also in talks with Tesco, but the coronavirus situation has slightly put a hold on that. And so hopefully this will mean that we get A, more of a supply, B, more people involved, and C, that means we can just expand our reach. We're currently on a rather big social media campaign, getting more people involved, getting people liking the page, getting people contributing. So the more the merrier is kind of our mantra with that. And the more people that are involved, the more stakeholders that we get, the more produce that we have, the more impact that we can make.
When it comes to Shakti, obviously our future goal is to acquire more sponsors for the project. Obviously the project is still running at the moment because we have help from small amounts of subsidies from our Indian stakeholders. But something we do want to do is really instill long-term corporate relationships with corporations where they donate year in, year out, when they become enticed with the project and really sort of involved in the lives of the women and the work that we do. So it's essentially pitching to more sponsors and developing that relationship with corporates so it becomes sustainable in the long term. Something else that we want to do is also improve our social media as well. We haven't focused on this particularly because it isn't a crucial part of our project, since we're pitching to corporates and we don't require donations from the general public, for example. But I think because of the unique offering of the project, it's important that people in Durham and the local community, anyone online, can really see what we do with the project and the impact that we have. So social media is something else we want to implement as well in the near future. But in terms of the sort of longer term, we want this project to be sustainable in the long run. We will also look at expansion as well, and in terms of how we can expand the project to other areas of India, and really sort of work with this Indian stakeholder. But these are our sort of medium to long-term goals with Shakti.
Concludes our question and answer period.
Meet Mohammed, Xiaoyun, Jack, Lucia, Ping, and Sarah. They are 12 years old. They are full of hopes, dreams, and optimism about the future. Given the right nurturing, they will become doctors, scientists, mathematicians, engineers, and artists when they come of age in 2030. However, as of 2020, this vision has been tainted. If we don't take drastic steps to change our maladapted behaviors today, they will inherit a world plagued by food insecurity, water scarcity, climate change, and pervasive pollution.
We are Enactus KCL. We are deeply committed to the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. We believe that we have the power to effect changes necessary to protect human health and well-being and to ensure planetary integrity for future generations. We are 120 impact entrepreneurs operating 12 social enterprises in 9 countries in Africa, Asia, the EU, and the UK. Through our projects, we have witnessed the effectiveness of the Enactus business model in employing innovation, entrepreneurism, and technological advancements to empower individuals and achieve positive social, economic, and environmental impacts together with local communities.
Our flagship project is Light Mountain, our clean cooking stove enterprise in Tanzania.
Over the past 6 years, Light Mountain has been refining a solution to minimize the risk of respiratory diseases, especially in women and children, due to indoor air pollution associated with traditional cooking methods. This is responsible for 33,000 deaths per year, 1/3 of them under the age of 5. Our solution was to engineer sustainable low-carbon emission stoves that are extremely durable, emitting 30% less fumes, whilst being made out of recycled and natural materials.
Light Mountain is run on the ground by our regional manager Ajidi, who works with our local manufacturer named Charlia and his team of 5 factory workers in Morogoro, Tanzania. Last year we focused on customer feedback to adapt our stoves to feed larger families. Over the same period, Charlia and his team produced a total of 100 stoves, 80 of our original design and 20 based on our newly updated design, that our team are now selling across the 5 villages.
Light Mountain also addresses gender inequalities in the workforce in Tanzania, where women earn on average 1/3 of the income of men. Therefore, our sales force is made up of a cooperative of 34 women for whom Light Mountain provides sales and technical training, employment, and a sustainable income. We have now translated our business operations training program into Swahili so that the women can become trainers in our stead.
Our entrepreneurs are dedicated mothers, and 85% of them do not feel their incomes are sufficient to feed their children. However, they are very eager to acquire higher levels of education, work more, and gain the ability to provide for their families. In 2018, during our last visit to Tanzania, they accepted Enactus KCL with incredible enthusiasm. Since then, it has been an amazing learning curve for both the women and for us.
Over the years, Light Mountain has had its setbacks, including the prices of our stoves being perceived as too high, and our previous manufacturer Majuto fleeing with 6 months of our revenue. However, we have consistently adapted, and this year we are focused on building a strong sense of community and trust with the women, and furthering their training through providing Swahili brochures, merchandise, and training videos.
Previously, our business model included the women selling the stoves for a price of 19,000 shillings. This price included repaying an initial loan to Enactus KCL, the cost of buying another stove from the manufacturer, a contribution to a cooperative insurance scheme, and to a local development fund that the women have requested for community projects, whilst also making a profit.
This year, to boost sales and ensure higher incomes for our beneficiaries, we have decided to give full autonomy to the women to decide the sales price. Additionally, the loan repayment has been delayed to allow them to build up a stable revenue stream, whereby all the profits can be reinvested back into their business and act as a substantial source of income for our beneficiaries.
Next year, we plan to continue working with our beneficiaries with a predominant focus on Light Mountain's sustainability and independence from Enactus KCL through resources and training guides on how to run business operations and maintain profit levels, thereby ensuring long-lasting employment opportunities for our beneficiaries.
Through constant evaluation, innovation, and collaboration, this year we have empowered, educated, and improved the livelihoods of nearly 500 people who have gained new skills to make their businesses more profitable, now live in cleaner households and save money on fuel every single day.
Enactus KCL has learned and grown significantly from Light Mountain, and today we are applying our experiences to one of our new up-and-coming projects, HydroGrow.
The world's population is predicted to grow to 8.3 billion by 2030, increasing global food demand by 50% and global water demand by 40%. Imagine trying to grow 50% more food with 50% less land due to decades of erosive agricultural practices. As a result, there have already been surges in global food prices, subjecting 820 million people in the world to food insecurity.
In the UK alone, 1 in 5 children are living in food insecure households at risk for related adverse health outcomes. These findings are truly heartbreaking considering 30% of the food produced worldwide, about 1.3 billion tons combined with 45 trillion gallons of water, is wasted every year due to inefficient distribution chains and lack of redistributive action.
In addition, traditional methods of sales and production in the food and beverage industry contribute heavily to single-use plastic waste. Consider that in 2019, 359 million metric tons of plastics were produced, half of which were single-use plastics, and only 10% of that was recycled.
To address these issues, Enactus KCL created HydroGrow, our sustainable hydroponics business initiative based in London.
Our hydroponic systems are indoor agricultural systems in which plants may be grown in a soilless, water-based, nutrient-rich solution, which with root support provided by an inert medium composed of rock wool. Hydroponic farming has minimal effect on the natural environment, whilst the market value is estimated to double to 16 billion by 2025.
Advantages of hydroponic farming include reductions of water usage up to 90%, crops can be produced in half the time, not subject to climatic conditions or soil specifications, whilst also removing the need for harmful chemical pesticides. Hydroponic systems are particularly effective for growing vegetables, fruits, and herbs, and can be employed with little agricultural training, even in small apartments at minimal cost, which offers everyone the opportunity to advance individual and global food security.
Our aim is to sell our innovative systems to households in London, which produce approximately 1 yield every 2 weeks. In addition, we use recycled HDPE plastic to create our products, thus allowing families to minimize food, water, and single-use plastic waste.
Environmental awareness is at the forefront of HydroGrow's vision. During our needs assessment, we uncovered that over 70% of teachers believe that climate change is not adequately being taught in schools within the UK. This led us to create an educational panel to develop our own module, HydroGrow Educate. This program is designed to teach children and teenagers how to thrive in an environmentally conscious world.
We piloted HydroGrow Educate at our university to an audience of over 50 students. We have since created educational games making our module more interactive. We have already secured a partnership for our first school, Francis Holland, with over 800 students and are planning the delivery of our workshops. Furthermore, we have been approached by the board of the King's College Engineering Department to implement HydroGrow's system into one of their new design courses focused around sustainable smart homes.
We knew HydroGrow also presented an amazing opportunity to employ and empower vulnerable communities in London. After careful consideration, we chose the beneficiary group we believe we could have the most impact on, NEET groups, standing for Youths Not in Education, Employment, or Training. 1 in every 10 people aged 18 to 24 in the UK are categorized as NEETs. It has been shown that reintroduction of these at-risk individuals to education or training can ensure that they have more security for the future.
We are in contact with various NEET organizations, as our plan is to train NEETs with the skills required to teach HydroGrow Educate in our partner schools across London. They will undergo HydroGrow Educate training through online resources and live lessons, with the additional benefit of an apprenticeship scheme. They will be taught how to utilize 3D printing software and equipment, so they are able to manufacture our hydroponic systems. These skills are key within the present job market and will help increase our beneficiaries' employability. Upon completion, they will be awarded a certificate from the King's College Geography and Engineering Department, acting as tangible proof of their advancements in the workplace.
This is how our business model works. HydroGrow's at-home hydroponic systems are manufactured by the HydroGrow team through the use of 3D printers and recycled plastics. Our hydroponic systems will then be sold online for the market-leading price of £60. All of our profits will be reinvested into the project, our teaching program, and to provide our beneficiaries with a regular income.
We believe HydroGrow could be a catalyst for urban food growth and environmental awareness, thereby addressing the issues of water and food insecurity on an educational and practical level. In the next year, we aim to expand it into over 30 schools and to have a fully formed product established on the market. Furthermore, we plan to have trained and secured a sustainable stream of employment for our first group of beneficiaries.
With Light Mountain, we have empowered and improved the livelihoods of nearly 500 people who have gained new skills to make their businesses more profitable, now live in cleaner households, and save money on fuel every single day.
With HydroGrow, we have created our own unique hydroponic system, designed and piloted our educational module, and secured partnerships with local schools. Within the next year, we plan to conduct workshops for over 24,000 students and have employed our first 10 apprentices.
This year, we have revamped and expanded our project portfolio to include Jalea, our at-home water filter enterprise, increasing access to clean water in Sri Lanka and providing underrepresented women with employment.
Potion, our plastic recycling and upcycling initiative, incentivizing fishermen to bring plastic waste into ports where it can be reformed and reused.
U&V, our upcycling fashion initiative based in London, promoting sustainable fashion design, manufacturing, and purchasing.
Airbridge, our drone delivery service, aiming to increase access to medical necessities in rural areas of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Through the entrepreneurial leadership of our 120 team members, we have developed innovative business solutions with our beneficiaries to create positive, sustained change in the lives of the people we work with and for the planet.
Individually, we are just university students, but together we are
Enactus KCL.
How are you ensuring you have a measurable and lasting impact on the lives of your beneficiaries?
With Light Mountain, we've really focused this year on trying to meet the needs of consumers. So we've adapted to make our stoves bigger to feed larger families because that was one of the requests that they had. But mostly really ensuring that AGD is following closely the sale of the stoves and gaining customer feedback from what the village leaders, the women, and the customers say. And also we want to ensure that our women are being taken care of because now we employ about 34 women who make less than 10,000 shillings a month. So we definitely want to contribute to their income, and currently we are. Therefore, we really want to make sure that AGD follows very closely the income that goes to every single woman. And obviously he manages the finances for Light Mountain together with a member of our team to ensure that the money is actually going to the people that need it the most. And we will continue doing that for the foreseeable future.
So, like I said before, with the education program, we are trying to teach it on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. So therefore we can keep that sustainable and keeping that lasting impact. So it's not just one class we're teaching at a social enterprise, we're creating a sustained teaching program so they are able to learn and grow from the information we provide them with. With our hydroponic system, it will be based on, again, the wants of people to provide that impact on a level of water and food insecurity. So that'll be coming from an innovative design and making sure that it's lasting, but also looking into different avenues on how we can make more products that are more innovative and more sustainable.
Also, I just wanted to add to that, with our NEET groups, what we'll really focus on doing is trying to increase their employability for the future. So we really want to ensure that they have tangible proof of their advancements in the workplace. Therefore, we're going to be working with the King's Engineering and Geography department to provide them with an apprenticeship scheme with skills that will definitely increase their employability based on research such as 3D printing software, and which we've seen that has very big benefits on employability.
For the projects you presented today, how do you plan to grow and scale these in the future?
With Light Mountain, we are currently searching for an NGO, and we are in contact with an NGO which operates in a different part of Tanzania than where we operate. Therefore, we want to have the NGO help us to expand in the regions in which they operate and potentially have a firmer, not control, but a firmer view over the villages that we operate in now and the new villages in which we operate, because having them on the ground will really increase the way we're able to track the stove sales, we're able to track the inflows and outflows, and ensure that the project is sustainable. Also, they will have a lot of information about cultural norms and what families really require there, therefore making our project more sustainable for consumer needs.
So with HydroGrow, on a term of scale, we've started in one school, Francis Holland, with over 800 students, but our basis is to expand into a lot more schools and try and work our way through all of the schools that we've been in contact with. This then will allow us to scale up the amount of education we can provide on a sustainable basis. We've also been in the talks with someone for a company in Singapore, which is then looking to expand our education program into other countries. So that could be a next point. And in terms of keeping the project sustainable, we're looking to make sure that our NEET groups are well trained and have the skills to go ahead. And with that being successful, we can then expand into other NEET groups, or into other avenues to provide that sustained education to help employability in the UK.
That ends the question and answer period. Thank you.